Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, we've got some more sad news. The Jaws family has lost another cherished member. Now, Marc Gilpin played Sean Brody in Jaws 2. He wasn't the Sean Brody from Jaws, he was in the sequel. And he wasn't the first Sean Brody in Jaws 2 either. Jaws 2, folks, had a troubled shoot. Its first director, John Hancock, was ousted for producing lacklustre footage and falling behind schedule. And they had begun to film at Martha's Vineyard again, where they filmed Jaws. And they cast as Brody's two sons, Michael and Sean, two different actors. And to play Sean, who's the youngest Brody boy, they had Ricky Schroeder. Blonde Ricky Schroeder, who had to have his hair dyed brown to try to look a bit more realistic as one of Brody's boys. But then when all the trouble changed and the schedule and the budget, everything began to fall behind and John Hancock was ousted, they brought in Jeannot Swark to carry on directing the movie. And they decamped to Florida, where the majority of the film is actually filmed. So, although most of the cast were in place, because this is the film of all the teenagers, the teens in peril on the high seas, by basically the bogeyman, who just happens to be a great white shark. And they recast some members when they got down to Florida. And it was Marc Gilpin who was one of the forerunners to replay or be recast as Sean Brody. And in the film, folks, he is incredible. He is a very focal point of the story because Brody's boys, against Brody's better judgment, they go out to sea with all their friends on their catamarans and little dinghies and little rowing boats and a little armada of teens who just want to make out in the surf and the waves. But Brody knows there's another big shark out there, but no one listens to him, do they? Oh no. But Michael, who's the eldest son, he's been grounded, but he's going to sneak out there anyway. And Sean catches him early morning when he's trying to get out before his mum and dad wake up. And he's going to go out with all his mates and go out into the deep blue sea. And he's like, Sean, go back to bed, Sean. Shh. And Marc Gilpin is Sean, who's only about 10 years old, if that at the time. He just goes, Michael. And he's like, all right, come on, because that's all Sean wants to do is go with his big brother and go out with all these older teens. Now, Marc Gilpin says that he had a wonderful time. He got on so well with all the older kids. And you might have thought they'd been a bit standoffish because they got to know Ricky Schroeder during the first few weeks of the shooting up in Martha's Vineyard. But no, they were really accommodating and they loved him and they really, took him under their wing. And it comes across in the movie because how many times in movies are the kids annoying as hell? Well, little Sean is not annoying in the least. Your heart goes out to him because he witnesses some horrible things which we'll talk about. And he's a great little character and you feel for him and you get the impression that all these teens who could just be self-centered and just like, we're just going to drink beer and we're going to make out, that's all we're going to do. We don't care about anybody else. They dote on him. And when his brother kind of doesn't want him around, the only one who doesn't want him around is his own brother, But all the other ones take him, onto, oh, you can come with me, you can sail with me. And some of the other girls really look after him. And some of the lads, when things turn really nasty, they're the ones who are going to save him. But he's great. You've got the fabulous sequence of Brody getting it wrong. He's in his shark tower and he sees that shadow and he takes his sunglasses off and he's like, oh, what's that shadow there? That's the size of a submarine. But it kind of looks like a great white shark as well. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, rings the bell and gets his revolver out. Get out of the water now. Bang, 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 bang. Fires 6 shots. You count how many bullet casings that he and Sean come to pick up. In that lovely white sand, this is a Florida beach now, not Martha's Vineyard. And he's like, the voice comes over like, Chief, it's just bluefish. It's just bluefish. It's school of bluefish. And he's like, what? It's just bluefish. And like, so Brody in that great moment just does the most ridiculous thing after having shot up the beach and shot his mouth off as well, like, and scared everybody. He's going like, it's okay, folks. It's false alarm. Like, go back. Go back in the water. He's already pulled out the barbecued remains of one shark victim in the boat explosion. He knows there's a shark out there. So all his old nightmares are being reawakened. But he's just come a real serious cropper on the beach there. And he just, everyone's like shuns him. Even Lorraine Gary, you know, his wife is just like, what's wrong with you, you know? And he squats down to the floor and begins to pick up the spent bullet casings. And Sean, Marc Gilpin, comes over and helps him and picks him up. And it's that touching moment which you had in Jaws, albeit it was a different actor playing Sean, and it's at the dinner table, and Brody's just like, oh God, he's doing all this, and little Sean's copying him, and Brody sort of at the corner of his eye catches him and starts pulling weird faces, and the little lad keeps doing it, and he goes like that, and the little lad goes. It's a very similar, touching, heartwarming moment to diffuse tension and suspense and make it a more human drama. And Roy Scheider gets on great with this lad. As I say, everyone gets on with Marc Gilpin. Now, this is the thing, folks. The news only broke an hour ago that I heard, but apparently Marc Gilpin, aged 56, child star from Jaws, and many TV commercials, and I think another couple of movies, but didn't pursue the acting career. Had a long battle with cancer and sadly passed away. I think yesterday or the day before, but the news only broke this morning, and it's just horrible. He's 56, folks. People are dying. Younger people are dying, and they're people that you may have grown up with. To a lot of people I'm speaking to now, Jaws and Jaws 2 they're like a second skin to us, and I live and breathe Jaws, and I've always really held Jaws 2 in high esteem. I've done a massive review on Jaws 2, really singing its praises. I think it's one of the best sequels ever made. Hands down, it's magnificent. It captures the magic, the mystery, the menace, the macabre qualities, and the sheer exhilaration and the terror of Jaws, but does it in a different way. It doesn't just rehash what went before, and it kind of preempts the whole stalk and slash genre, the American stalk and slash genre, because, you know, we all know stalk and slash began quite a bit beforehand with Italian giallos and other movies of that Euro ilk. But Jaws 2 certainly preempted the likes of Halloween and Friday the 13th, Teens in Peril. As I said before, to have a young kid there could have been like, oh, we just want to watch the fit older ones doing what they do. But he anchors it, and he gives it a genuine sense of peril. We feel for all these teens, we genuinely do. It's one of the few films where you've got an ensemble cast of younger characters from this period, where they're not all aggravating, annoying, and pure cliches. They're all little individual characters, and some of them have got fathers who we know the fathers from. Like, you've got Murray Hamilton, Mayor Vaughan. You've got his son, you know, he's Larry, you know, and Larry Jr. And you've got other people. Now, there's a girl called Cindy Grover who plays a girl called Lucy. Now, Lucy's the one that during the final sort of act, where they're trying to get to, you know, that little island where all the power cables go into, and what's Cable Junction? And what's after Cable Junction? The Atlantic, and then Ireland, they say. But they've got to try to get there, but the current is taking them the other way. and it's a bleak little man-made structure with a little hut on it, but all the cables go in there, all the electricity cables, and it's like a last stand. But the shark comes up and it spills everybody into the briny, and they're all swimming trying to get there, panicking, and they get Sean, is on there, but they get, yes, something occurred just behind me there. The spooks are at it again. And speaking of spirits, I may as well indulge. Mark, rest in peace. You were fantastic in Jaws 2. Fantastic. But Cindy Grover plays Lucy, and she gets pitched into the water. And she's one of the lobby cards and posters where you see nothing but this huge, shark's dorsal fin, and just this poor blonde girl in the water, and the shark's obviously passing behind her, and you just think, God, there's no way you can survive that. And in the film, it brushes against her, and sharks have a rough hide of her skin, and it shreds through a yellow t-shirt, and she gets very abrased, but a fella manages to get her back to safety. Well, Cindy Grover, who plays Lucy, Marc Gilpin always said, I was only 9-10 years old. She was 19. He said, I fell in love with her. I could have been really annoying, and probably was, but she never showed it. She, on camera and off camera, we got on perfectly, and she always kept me beside her and looked after me. He said, I fell in love with her. She's the first love of my life. And had I been a few years older, I would have asked her to marry me. Ah, God. But it shows you the affection they had for him. Kids are really annoying. Of course they are. I mean, I don't understand why kids gravitate towards me, probably because I'm a big kid myself. But the amount of times that me and my family have been away and been camping, and everyone with other families who are all our friends and their younger kids, I've been like the bloody Pied Piper, the reluctant Pied Piper. They're all coming to me and oh, let's play with him. Oh, he's great. And inwardly, I'm going, oh God, Outwardly, I'm showing, hey, it's great. Oh, don't worry about me. While all the other families are having their barbecues and sitting off drinking beer, whilst I'm taking care of all the bloody kids for them. And inwardly, I'm seething with it all because I hate them. Well, Marc Gilpin did not aggravate anyone. They took him under their wing, cherished him, because he was not only a great little person, but a wonderful bloody actor. Regular viewers know I'm going to come on to this because there's no way you can avoid it. The big bite, of course, where the catamarans and boats all get overturned during the first shark attack on their little teenage armada. And they all string the boats together, but they're all upturned, so you've got rudders in the air, which is a very nice sort of touch because the rudders look like shark fins, but really big ones, And you've got Sean and Marge. He's now with Marge, who's looking after him. And Marge gets pitched into the water. Oh, God. I find it very hard to talk about this because it's one of the pivotal scenes in movies which really, really affected me. It's right up there in the top 10 of the big jolty moments you could ever imagine. And poor Sean is there. The camera's on him. And you see she's trying to get up, and there's a little rope, and she's trying to pull herself up on the rope, but she's slipping from the underside, the hull of this upturned boat, and the shark just comes up behind her and just goes, whoa! And the impact of John Williams' music, the water, the sound effect, the scream, and Sean's scream, because he's there, he's, as far as the film's concerned, he's right in front of her, facing it, so it's just his face going, no! Oh, and he's hanging on to this upturned rudder. Now, in reality, because people have asked about this a lot, there's many sorts of rumours and stuff about there's an extended version where you do see Marge in the shark's mouth. Well, you could never have seen that because that shark was huge with big hydraulic jaws. It was you're never going to put anyone in that mouth because if that went wrong, you would die. It would kill you. So the camera's behind. The shark is about 15 to 20 feet away from Marge, the actress, and Sean on the upturned hull of the boat. But He's then got to act like it's right there and she's going to be dragged down, which divers underwater did drag her down out of the shot, and the shark goes, woof, does that, and then sinks below. But it's his reaction, and then the fact that he goes into a really horrible state of shock. So for a portion of the movie, a quieter portion, but it's not a lull, because you've got to get, everyone else is strung together, but his upturned boat's gone further away, so they're chucking rope over to him, like, Sean, catch it, Sean, just catch the rope. And they're getting angry and they're shouting at him because he's clinging onto the rudder like that, and he's facing the other way, and it's horrible. It's just so, God. That's Marge getting chomped. That's the bit I just talked about. And because this is Jaws 2 playing here, of course it is. And like one of them, what's his name? I forgot the guy's name. He's got big, mad, sort of curly hair. He's the big fat one. Is he a family member? Am I related to him somehow? Why am I asking you? And I forgot his name now, but he's giving it loads. Sean, look, grab that fucking rope. I'll kick it at last. Grab the rope. He's just trying to get a reaction out of him, and suddenly Sean, Marc Gilpin, turns around, but he's clearly hanging on to this rudder for dear life, and he begins to try to catch the rope, and he doesn't catch it a couple of times, and then finally he does, and they begin to reel him in, and it's just the sense of relief that you get there. They're still in massive jeopardy, but wow, and it shows you they're not just going to neglect him. No, come on. And they've only shouted at him to try to galvanise him into reacting. And Marc Gilpin does exceptionally well. You really get the impression he's just witnessed one of the worst things you could ever see. And at that age as well. Now, I was only, what would I be? 8, 9 years old when Jaws 2 came out, if that, in fact. But I'd already seen 1,000,001 movies, and I'd seen Jaws 1,000,000 times as well. So you always think like the small child, if you're young, the small kid is going to be your conduit, your window into this experience. You're going to see it through his eyes. You will empathise with him more. Well, that's not entirely true, not for me anyway. I understand that. I totally believe it's the case for a lot of people. But no, at my tender age, I was already very forward thinking. I'd learnt a lot from movies, and my avant-garde upbringing, shall we say, and so I associated with Brody. I wanted to be Brody, I wanted to be him, but I also wanted to be the older teens, so I was seeing things through their eyes. But I knew at the time that Sean was, a pivotal element, because I was thinking, well, obviously if I'm in this scenario, I'm going to be him. I want to be Brody. I want to be some of these older kids with their very fit girlfriends. I want to be one of them, but I'm going to be that one. And he massively convinced. So, did you know this as well? His stepsister is Peri Gilpin, who plays Roz in the long-running TV sitcom Frasier. Frasier is absolutely the favourite TV show I've ever had in my life. I've watched it since it first came out, and it's on in British terrestrial TV every morning. Used to be 3 or 4 episodes, then it went down to 3, now it's down to 2. And they sandwich it with Everybody Loves Raymond and now The Big Bang. And even Cheers is on there as well. And it's what a way to start your day. Just non-stop, brilliant American TV sitcom. But Frasier is the one I've always loved and admired. And Marc Gilpin's stepsister, Peri Gilpin, plays Roz, who is the producer on Frasier's radio show. And she's amazing as well. Now, he had another couple of sisters, and he had begun acting in TV commercials before Ricky Schroeder. Remember I said about Ricky Schroeder, who was the first Sean Brody in Jaws 2? And he'd done so many commercials. Well, Marc had done thousands more. He'd been acting since the age of 4, and he was 9 or 10 when he made Jaws 2. So he'd done so much more. He was vastly more experienced, and one of his sisters, April Gilpin, had acted with him in many of these commercials, and she's in Jaws 2, folks. She's in Jaws 2, and she's in that sequence just before Brody shoots the beach up, you know, thinking he's seen a great white shark. He's in his tower, and you got this young mother and the daughter come up, and they go like, "What's that man in the tower?" And you've got I forgot his name now, the big business tycoon, the property developer who's got the hots for Lorraine Gary, Brody's wife, and she's working for him as well. Like, and he's going, "Oh, he's a spotter. That's like a watchtower. It's a lookout." And the little girl that says like, "It's a shark tower. I've seen them. He's looking for sharks." And he's like, "No, he's just checking meteorological and the weather, and no, he's looking for sharks." That is Marc Gilpin's sister, April. Sadly, she's died as well. She died, I think, well, a good few years ago, natural causes. But I don't know if it was cancer. I don't know that. But sadly, Marc died of cancer at the age of 56. A wonderful actor. Okay, he might not have done a great deal beyond the commercials and Jaws 2. And he did do a film before Jaws 2 where he plays a computer whiz kid. A pint-sized computer whiz kid. But aren't they always, you know? Cheers. But it just seems so sad. The Jaws family is dwindling. The cast members and the people behind the scenes are dwindling down. But the Jaws family, I think, is growing exponentially. Each new generation takes Jaws, you know, to their heart. You're not going to beat Jaws as the prime example, the classic masterpiece of action, horror, monster movie, suspense, thrills and chills, and human drama. Jaws 2 does come close. It does come close. And all fans of Jaws take Jaws 2 with it as well. Jaws 3 and Jaws 4, The Revenge, bring in Michael and Sean Brody, the sons, but they do so in the most ridiculous fashions. And thankfully, our major Jaws family have nothing to do with, well, sadly, Lorraine Gary did with Jaws: The Revenge, but hey, you know, still love it. Now, folks, I just want to say, you know, it is horrific how young people are dying of cancer. Oh, this won't be a big, you know, charity sort of thing. I'm not doing that, but it's scary. It's scary. And apparently Marc Gilpin's battle with cancer was quite a long-running battle, which is even more horrific because you fight relentlessly, and in the end, it still takes you down. But I think the moral of the story is, whatever happens, whatever afflictions you get, you fight it. You keep fighting. Don't ever give in. Don't ever give in. Little Sean did not give in against the great white shark. You know. And here's the other bit as well. I should have said this earlier. The other bit, which again shows resilience in the face of adversity. They're at Cable Junction, but the shark's just swimming around, and suddenly the little Amity police, what do you call it? The little tiny sputtering boat, the launch, and Brody doesn't like the water. He hasn't got over his fears at all about it, and he can't drive a boat either. But he manages to find his way to Cable Junction, and Sean sees him, and he's like, "It's Dad! It's Dad! It's Dad! It's Dad!" And his enthusiasm and excitement and trust in his old man really comes across and sears through the celluloid. He got it. And speaking of searing through the celluloid, another shark will be burned and blown up, frazzled good style. Brody. I do love the ending of Jaws 2 as well. Like when he's banging the paddle on the cable. I've got something for you. Bite on this, you know. And you see all the smoke coming out the shark's eye. But it is fantastic. In fact, I think we're getting to the music from that sequence as well. And like Brody just goes like to Sean, you know, and you come here, you know, and it's just great. It's great. If you're wondering about the older brother, of course, Michael earlier on, when the shark first attacks, gets his head smacked on the swinging whatever that thing. You've got the mast that goes up, and you've got is it the yard arm? I don't know. I'm ex-Royal Marines, but I didn't sail any boats, did I? So you've got the mast, and you've got the yard arm, and it goes wham, back, smacks him in the back of the head, and he falls into the water, but his life jacket, and in a great sequence, they've got to try to get up there to get him out the water, and the sharks barrel in towards them, and he managed to they keep dropping him, and then finally they're going to get him on board, and the shark's mouth just goes roar down the side of the boat. You're like, in hell. It's really, really frightening. Whether you know that's a fake shark, but you're acting there. That fake hydraulic shark, which is bigger than the one that was in Jaws, and far better engineered, had its problems as well, but far better engineered and far more consistent, but far more menacing and faster. You know, it's coming at you. Oh my God. Real or not, that's it. You'd be like, cut, I'm out of here. You know, get me the next ferry boat home. Just don't get a Coast Guard helicopter to come and pick you up. Because there he be. Didn't work out so well for him, did it? This is the end. And like, they're going, Chief, it's coming right, it's heading right for you. He's been banging on this thing like to attract the shark. He's in like a little dinghy, a little rubber dinghy. And you see, Roy Scheider actually seems to get nervous at one point. He's like going, come on, and he goes, when he hears Sean shouting for him, it's took a crunch out of the big power cable, which we've now learned would have shorted out the entire Amity Island as well. But Jaws 2 is phenomenal, and without a doubt, Marc Gilpin is one of the huge elements that makes that film work. And I'm just so sorry and sad to hear it was passing. So folks, I've just put the whiskey down. I'm now going to get it again. Please, if you've got one, raise a glass, a drink, in honour of Marc Gilpin. Cheers, brother. Rest in peace. Folks, I have been always shall be Kilt-Man. I will be back with much more, because it's going to be a busy day today. This just came out of the, this shocking news came out of the deep blue sea, basically, and no, it is sad. It's very sad. So my heartfelt condolences go out to the family and all the friends and everyone concerned. So please, folks, I have been always shall be Kilt-Man. In the meantime, in this ever, count every second and live every moment like it's your last in between time. Please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. I'm gonna see you all laters.